Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Before we begin, I'd like to congratulate everybody on Dhan Guru Gobind Singh Ji's day of arrival coming on this earth. I wish everybody lots of happiness and lots of love and admiration and bhakti towards Guruji. Swamiji started off the class by actually going over the Mangalacharan that we do at the beginning. Vishuddham Vishokam Param Brahma Rupam Sada Satchidanand Sarvatma Rupam. So if you've noticed, the dipis at the top, if you pronounce it as per the Gurmukhi rules, it will be a Om. But if you pronounce it as per rules in Sanskrit, then it becomes a Ma. So it can be read both ways. Vishuddham or Vishuddham, it means that Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Swarup, this Mangalacharan, is about their Swarup. Guru Gobind Singh Ji is beyond all mental opacities. They're without deception, sin, and ignorance. It's very clear. They're very clear on who they are. There is no doubt. There's no opacity about what the truth is. They know it. Vishuddham. Vishokam means that they're without pain and suffering. And naturally, you can only be without pain and suffering if you're without attachment as well, because pain and suffering comes as a result of being attached to things. Vishokam, Param Brahma Rupam. And Guru Gobind Singh Ji's actual Swarup is Brahmarup. Sada Satchidananda Sarabhatma Rupam. And they are the eternal consciousness, blissful, and that same state is the Atma of every single being in the cosmos. So actually, our Atma, our self, when you go to that place, that is who Guru Gobind Singh Ji is. If you want to know who actually they are, you want to get to the heart of who Guru Gobind Singh Ji is, go to your inner state and you'll see them. That's who Guru Gobind Singh Ji is. Nirakar Sakar Jyoti Swarupam. Even though Guru Gobind Singh Ji's real state doesn't have a form or shape, and it is actually the fundamental reality of the cosmos, but let's say we don't have access to the Guru, or we don't understand yet, or we haven't had the experience of Nirakar yet. How are we going to understand it? How are we going to get to that state? Nirakar Sakar. Sometimes it feels like I just want to see somebody. I want to see someone. I want to hear them. I want to do their seva. I want to have that so-called human-to-human interaction. And for that, Vaheguru themselves, hearing the yearning of their devotees, takes on a physical form that the devotee can interact with. And they can ask them questions, they can understand from them, they can do their seva. So all the time, Nirakar or Nirgun Swarup takes on the form that is going to be most useful to its devotees so that they can recognize Nirakar as well. Jyoti Swarupam, Guru Gobind Singh Ji's actual form, is the consciousness that resides throughout the cosmos. Sugovinda Singham Gurum Tam Prapaddaye. That is who Guru Gobind Singh Ji is, and to such a Guru, I do Namaskar and I do Dandot. In reality, today what we celebrate is actually the day Guru Gobind Singh Ji entered a human body, or a human type of body. But it doesn't mean this is the day that Guru Gobind Singh Ji was born. Who they actually are is beyond birth and death. That's also your reality. You have the same reality as Guru Gobind Singh Ji. You also have never been born. You just keep celebrating the day that you entered a human body. But you haven't recognized this in full determination yet. You're still doubtful about it. Guru Gobind Singh Ji isn't doubtful about this truth. They know it to be the truth. So today is the day that they entered a body for your own. The other difference that Swamiji mentioned here was when someone who's already free chooses to enter a body, they don't enter depending on karmic impressions because they're already free. Karmic impressions have already been destroyed. So they're not entering based on some karmic impression. They don't have to, they have a certain trajectory that they want to follow based on what they wish for the world to happen, but it's not their own karma. Versus us as Jeeves, we are here based on compulsions and impressions that we've created in the past, and we're exhausting them out right now, and we're creating new impressions. Guru Gobind Singh Ji doesn't create new impressions. They don't have the machinery, or they don't have the illusion, so they can't create that new impression. But we're stuck in the illusion, so we create new impressions. So today is the day that Guru Gobind Singh Ji entered the body for our own kalyan, for the kalyan of the people. Otherwise, they're always present. And if you really want to know who they are, if you ever want their darshan, go into your sarup. Slip behind the mind, go into a completely relaxed state, and you'll see them. That's who they are. One of the things that Swamiji really prides themselves on and really has a lot of sense of, they're really happy about this, is that Guru Gobind Singh Ji was born in Patna, Bihar, and then so was Swamiji. So if you're ever born in a place where another special person or being is born, you always say, yeah, I was born where they were born. So Swamiji always says, I was born where Guru Gobind Singh Ji was born. And actually, Patna and generally in Bihar, there have been a lot of, there have been many people that have been enlightened in Bihar and have done their tapasya there. Mahavir has done it, Buddha has done it, Guru Gobind Singh Ji was pragat there, Swamiji was pragat there. So it's a very divine place. Okay, and then Swamiji went on to tell us a sakhi about Guru Gobind Singh Ji. So Guru Gobind Singh Ji was born in Patna, which is in the east, we'll say towards the east of India. And then towards the west of India is Punjab. In a place called Gathal, which is located in Punjab, there is a peer named Pikhan Shah. And so what Muslims do is when they read their namaz in the morning, they always bow down to the direction of the Mecca. And that, according to Punjab, is towards the west. So naturally, if you're in India, you're going to bow down, if you're after namaz, to the Mecca, towards the west. But that day, Pikhan Shah ended up bowing down to the east, and all of their disciples were asking, has something happened? Like, did you make a mistake? How did this happen? And then Pikhan Shah explains that no, I didn't make a mistake. The Allah that I'm constantly searching for today, I saw that jot traveling in the east. Pikhan Shah says, today I bowed towards the east, or towards where Patna Sahib is, because I had this inner anpav that Allah has arrived on the planet. And so he then set out on a journey from Gathal to Patna Sahib. Something was telling him on the inside, go to Patna, that's where Allah is. And he traveled for a month on foot with some of his disciples to go. And once he got there, he saw that, he asked around and he saw there was lots of sangat around this one place, this one haveli. And, but there was something inside of Pikhan Shah that he wanted to know, that this avatar that has arrived on the planet, is he going to be for the Muslims or is he going to be for the Hindus? Right, because those are the two dominant religions at the time. And he then was waiting outside to have darshan of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. But actually, Guru Gobind Singh Ji's family, their Mama Ji, Bhai Kirpal Chand, their mother, Mata Gujari Ji, were not open to having darshan of Sangat yet because Aurangzeb had put out bounties on Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji, and obviously if anyone found out that Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji's son was born, they're going to want to, kill them or get rid of them. So Mata Gujari Ji's concern was, how do we know that this is not a spy of Aurangzeb's or, otherwise? So they didn't really want to give darshan. They denied it a few times. But Pikhan Shah, whose intention really was to have darshan, he sat there outside the door and he said that I won't eat and I won't drink until I get the darshan. Eventually, when the family was, they knew that this is okay, then they finally let Bikancha have darshan. And then when they went there, they did namaskar. They had two earthen vessels, and in one they had water, and one had milk. The water to represent the Muslim faith, the milk to represent the Hindu faith. And as Bikancha put both of these vessels towards Bala Pritam, small Gobind Rai, Guru Gobind Singh Ji put both of their hands on both of the vessels. And that was when Bikancha realized that this being right here is for everyone. There is no one faith or one particular group that they're going to favor. They're here for the entire human race. There's many shabads in Akal Ustat and Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Bani where they talk about this. For example, Hindu Turk Pou, Rafiji Imam Safi, Manasiki Jat Saba Eke Pehjanabo. And in that entire Shabad, they talk about how the things that people do on the outside might be different, but the Allah and the Ram that they're praying to is the same. And I'm here for everyone to be able to experience the truth. So that is Guru Gobind Singh Ji's legacy. They're here for everyone. And congratulations. Have a great, wonderful remembrance of the day that Guru Gobind Singh Ji came to this planet. And then one of Swamiji's favorite poems or sayings, search for the destination beyond the destination. If you find rivers, then search for the sea. Every mirror breaks by the hit of stones, then find a mirror that breaks the stone. Right? Your final and ultimate destination is for you to be free of all pain and obtain permanent bliss. This is your final destination. But along the way, you might come across temporary bliss, temporary removal of your pain, but you have to search for the destination beyond these destinations. If you find a small river of joy, then search for the sea. If you find that what you've made of yourself, the facades that you've put up, all of your mirrors are being broken by something that comes over in your life, then find an image of yourself, find a mirror that breaks all other images, that breaks the stone. This is your purpose to be here in the human body. Then we continue on with Sidh Gosht. Today, Sidh Gosht is focusing on the definition of yogi. Who does the Guru define as a proper yogi or a yogi, however you want to say it? Even in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the second sutra is Yogas Chitvritti Nirodhaha. The first sutra is to keep discipline. The second one is Yogas Chitvritti Nirodhaha, which means that actually what we're considering to be yoga is to restrict or restrain the fluctuations of the mind so that you can ultimately go beyond the mind and then reside in that thoughtless awareness. There's an awareness that exists inside of you that doesn't depend on the mind. It doesn't have movement in it. It doesn't have any type of thinking or deciphering or contemplation or knowing. It's just pure awareness. And to get to that state, it really helps if the mind is still. If the mind is too wavy, too much stuff happening in it, you start to have this misconception that you are the movement. But when you stop the movement enough so that you can slip behind it and recognize, no, actually, you're the thing that doesn't move. Even amongst everything that's moving, you're the thing that's not moving. That awareness state is called the God state. That is where God resides. And yoga's purpose is to get to that state. Ultimately, a yogi is someone who has achieved union. Yog or jog means union. And they've known themselves, their pure self, to be Brahman. Jinni Atam Chinya Paramatam Soy. Again, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Shabad. A person who has recognized their Atma, that person has become Paramatma. Jinni Atam Chinya Paramatma Soi. Such a person is to be known as Paramatma. And this happens through the teachings and the grace of someone who has already had this happen to them. Jini Atam Chinya Paramatam Soi. If this has happened to somebody, that person can then help somebody else. And that accomplished being is who we call a saint. Also, Swamiji talked about So Jogi Jo Jugat Pachane, Gur Prasadi Eko Jane. A yogi is someone who understands the technique and method of how to transcend the mind. And because they've understood that technique, they've applied the technique, and the technique has worked out. They've accomplished what they needed to accomplish. And that person is considered to be a yogi. Nanak duji karna karni seva sikh so khoj lahe. A seeker who wants to experience the truth doesn't chase after things that promote duality. Duji karna karni means in your life, if you're a seeker of the truth and you understand that truth has to be an essence of oneness, it has to be something that is all encompassing. Otherwise, it's a temporary truth. You understand this concept that it has to be some type of complete union. Complete union. If that's what you're seeking, then the way you live your life, what you do in your life, has to be things that avoid multiplicity. The way that you set up your life, the way that you set up your mind, you have to do as much as you can to get rid of the duality and multiplicity in your life. So a seeker who wants that union with oneness and the experience of oneness, that doesn't chase after things that promote duality. Sure, you need to take care of your body because you're not even going to do a search if you don't have a healthy body. You're going to need a body, you're going to need shelter, clothing, health, food, these kind of things you'll need. So that's where you have to do what you have to do. But beyond these things, it's just going to be promotion of duality. You're going to trigger more and more impressions within yourself that are going to tell you, yes, duality is the only reality, and that's going to be detrimental to your spiritual progress. So a seeker is somebody who promotes advait in their life, who reduces multiplicity and promotes non-duality in their life. And they do this by doing seva of their guru. They're always there in service of their guru, and they're there listening to their guru. Their mind is single focused with one resolve that through the guru's teachings, I have to merge. And if that means all of the shells that I'm not, the body and mind and identity, I have to lose those. And what I actually am, I have to recognize that. These are things that promote non-duality. Right? So that's what a seeker or a Sikh does. Hukam bismad hukam pachana jiye jugata sach jana soi. So how does a seeker start to do this? How do you lose your desires? How do you lose all these things that are promoting duality or multiplicity? Hukam bismad hukam pachana. The seeker understands the mystery of hukam. And by understanding that actually I don't have control over the things that are happening around me, I only have control over the things that how I respond to the situation, how I acknowledge the situation. And even to that point, certain habits, even in my mind, are not under my control because they're happening due to previous impressions that I've planted. Things that are happening to my body, not all of them are within my control. So what a seeker does is, what I can control and what can help me recognize oneness, I'll do that. But I'm not going to be fussy about the result. I'm not going to care when or how it happens. And what's happening to me, I'm going to have no resistance to it. What's happening outside of me, I have no resistance to it. I've lost all doerness. It's called karta pav. I've lost all doerness because doingness is an illusion. Things are happening. And the only thing that I can so-called do that is actually within my nature is to watch. Things are happening. Things have always happened. Even when I wasn't here, even when you weren't here, things were happening. You don't control this place. So a seeker recognizes things happen, and I can merely watch. If I'm hungry, hunger is happening to the body because of a natural response, the way that the body is made. And what's the mind going to do? The mind is going to respond to this hunger that the body is saying you need to feed, and then the mind is going to command my hand and the legs to go to the kitchen, pick up a piece of food and eat. The body is going to digest that, and hunger is going to go away. What happened? Things happened. Body had a reaction, mind responded. It happened. I just merely watched. I watched how the body got hungry. I watched how the mind then responded to that. But me, I didn't even get hungry. I didn't respond. I didn't move. I didn't try to feed the hunger. There was no doerness there. It was a natural happening. And so this type of thing, when you apply it to everything else, this is the mystery that a seeker understands, and they renounce their doerness. And when you renounce your doerness, you renounce all of your worries and anxieties as well. This is a person, Jiya Jugat. Jiya Jugat means the technique of living, or more artfully said, the art of living. Sach jane soi. Someone who knows the art of living. How do they know it? Stop controlling things. Flow. Like a leaf that has detached from the tree, it just flows on top of the river. No matter how slow or fast the river is going, it never drowns. It just knows to sit afloat, relaxed, no resistance, and it flows. So be like that leaf. No desires, no resistance, no doerness. Enjoy the ride. Dekhna aayo jagat tamasha. Right? And so that type of person, when they start to live this way, they ultimately recognize the truth and they see the one essence everywhere. Actually, upon enlightenment, what happens is oneness is already established. You do not have to establish oneness. It's already established. What you have to establish is the falseness of multiplicity. So what happens upon Gyan and in the high levels of sadhana is mithya nisjay. This determined resolve that duality, this multiple stuff that I'm seeing, this is false. Even the Upanishads, they say this, one who sees many, that being is prone to birth and death. But one who sees one, that being is free from pain, is free from birth and death. So what happens upon enlightenment and in your sadhana is you have to determine the multiplicity of things as false, because it is false. Oneness does not have to be established. It's already like that. For example, when you see a snake inside, when you have the illusion of a snake, you don't have to establish that the snake is a rope. You don't have to say, okay, I have to establish ropeness. It's already a rope. What you have to establish is that it's not a snake. That's the little mystery of, you just have to establish that all of the Maya, all of the duality is false. God does not have to be established. Consciousness doesn't have to be established. It's already there. Sakti doesn't have to be established. Existence is already there. Anand also does not have to be established. It is already there. But the things that are covering this, why don't we experience Anand? Because there's an illusion happening over top of it that is causing multiplicity and attachments to different things, detachments to other things, likes of certain things in the multiplicity, dislike of other things in the multiplicity is causing you to experience fluctuations that are causing pain, that are causing grief, that is causing confusion, that is causing doubt. Anand does not have to be established. It's already there. But the things that are causing doubt, confusion, opacity have to be not even destroyed, but determined as that thing is not real. That thing is holographic. I am real. That is not. So that's the whole process of the spiritual journey. Then, आप मेट निरालम होवै अंतर साच जोगी कहिए सोई. आप मेट niralam होवै. Niralam means pure, but it also means separated. It is something that is not being afflicted by anything else. And this happens by erasing the ego. Aap met. How do you come to the state of determining the thing that's Maya as false? How do you come to these states? The thing is, in the multiplicity, there's a bunch of identities there. I'm this, I have to have this much respect. This is my name. This is how much money I own or property I have. All these things that you're holding on to, these fake identities, they have to be relinquished. You have to get rid of them because they're not real. They're not true. Apmate means that you erase the ego. Everything that is not the self, all these non-self identities have to be renounced. They have to be given up. Right? Apmate niralam hove, then antar sach yogi kahiya soi. Then you know the truth of your core being, who you originally are, not who people told you to be. And then you recognize your Atma as Brahm, and such a person is known as a yogi. That is a person who we call a yogi, someone who has recognized their self to be Brahm, not their self to be so-and-so name, not their self to be in so-and-so body, not that, but recognize the self to be Brahm. Avigato nirmayal upajay nirgun te sargun thiya. We're changing body now, so we're going to change topics. Avigato nirmayal upajay. Avigato means that which is unknowable by the senses or the mind. Nirmayal upajay. Nirgun te sargun thiya. From this unknowable entity, this oneness, this nirmayal, without any type of affliction, this entity is what, from this entity arises sargun. From nirgun comes sargun. Nirgun aap sargun pi ohi kalatar jan sagli mohi. Now, if you ask anybody, if you go into the Shastras, if you explore, even if you explore Guru Granth Sahib Ji, if you explore Gita, Ramayana, so forth and so forth, and you ask this question, how is it possible that from Nirgun, where there is no quality, something with quality is birthed or happens? This question's core is always answered as it's unknowable. I've searched Guru Granth Sahib Ji as well, and they say it's in Hukam. It's Kalatar jin sagni mohi, Kalatari hai. Somehow it happened. The Shastras, the Vedas, the Upanishads, they all explain this as anarvachaniya, undescribable, how it happens. If you could describe it, it wouldn't even exist. If you could understand what Maya was, this thing would not be happening to you. But the thing is, you don't understand it. That's why it's happening. That's why the illusion is happening. Can you pinpoint where illusions start? You can't. Maybe the worldly illusions, you might even be able to pinpoint where they start. But this one, you can't even pinpoint where it starts. The Shastras say Maya cannot be known at its origin. Maya cannot be known at its origin. Maya can be known once it has transformed into something. Right? So this body, the mind, these are transformations of Maya, transformations of ignorance. Everything that's happening, you're breathing, I don't know, things that you're seeing around you, these are already transformed versions of ignorance. These are transformations that have already happened within the illusion. These are knowable, but the very core of the illusion is unknowable. Because if you know it, then it dissipates. So actually, the only way to really know the illusion is to know the fundamental reality that the illusion was basing itself off of. Knowing Brahm is the only method of erasing the illusion. Otherwise, to ask how it happens, when it happened, what was the first time the illusion was established, all of these types of questions, they're unknowable. Because if you try to establish when the illusion started, that question's answer would also have to be established within an illusion. If you try to ask how the illusion came out from so-and-so and blah, 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 that answer would also be a part of the illusion. So the very, very, very core of it is unknowable. That's the nature of Maya. So Guru Maharaj says, Nirgun aap, sargunapi ohi, kalata arjun sagni mohi. But one thing about Ishwar or Vaheguru is this. Even though us Jeeves, we don't know the origin points, we don't know how to control Maya either, we don't know how to set up this illusion, right? We just came into it and then we just got to flow with it. Vaheguru or Ishwar knows how to set it up, knows its origin point, and knows always how to control it. Nirgun aap sargun pi ohi kalata arjun sagni mohi. Ishwar accepts Maya, gives power or satta to Maya, then Maya plays out the world. We can't do that. We just come. We can't control any of it, but Ishwar can. That's the thing. That's the difference between us. And so that same Nirgun, same Satchit Anand consciousness, completely aloof, completely separate, gives its satta to the substance, this unknowable substance that we call Maya. We can't say Maya doesn't fully not exist because we see it. We can't say that our dreams don't fully exist because you did see the dream. There is something about it that is so non-existing and so existing at the same time. But the part of it that's existing, that is borrowed from Chaitan. The part of this place that has existence, the part of your dream that has existence is borrowed from Nirgun. It is borrowed from the Satya. That's what Satya means, right? Satya means to give existence. So when we say Vaheguru gives their Satta to Maya, we say the existence portion of Maya is coming from that fundamental consciousness. The existence portion of the snake is coming from the rope. If there's no rope there, you're not going to have the illusion of a snake. So Satta comes from Nirgun Vaheguru. Nirgun, but in more simpler terms, let's try to understand this. Nirgun is like the ocean, and every single wave is Sargun. We are also Sargun versions of Vaheguru. I don't want you to think that only when we say Sargun Vaheguru, we only mean the avatars. Those are extremely purified and exalted. And it's like that wave that is just so crystal clear, perfect shape, everything is nice about it. That's an avatar of God. Those little wimpy waves that, they come into existence, they dirty, they got foam and all that stuff on them. That's us, right? So in this massive ocean that is Nirgun Vaheguru, there's crappy little waves, right, that don't know themselves, very dirty, they're kind of black. And then there's that, that nice wallpaper wave that you guys see. It's very crystal clear. You can see the sun on the other side of it. It's teal, turquoise, clear. There's not an inch of dirt in there. Perfect shape, perfect collapse. Gracefully comes, gracefully goes. That's the avatar of God. With the wimpy little waves that are everywhere, that's the Jeeves. So what happens is, this Nirgun, this ocean, when it hears enough of these wimpy little waves crying out, what the heck is life? People are bothering us. This big ocean, this big little wave, this big wave is hurting all these little waves. Nobody knows what's the truth anymore. No one's recognizing what the ocean is or the water is. And little wimpy waves are fighting with each other. Some of these waves are calling out for someone to help them. Then that ocean comes out as a big wave and tries to help out those other wimpy little waves. That's what we call that same Nirgun essence comes to the world to answer the calls of their devotees. Right? Just like Prahlad He was calling out to that ocean. And what happened was the ocean answered, and Narsingh Avtar came and killed his father, Harnaksh, who was trying to kill Prahlad. Right? Ramchandra ji, Krishan ji, Buddha, Mahavir, Guru Nanak Dev ji to Guru Gobind Singh ji, to the saints that were around right now. These are God coming on the planet to help us out. If you ever notice these types of panktiya in Gurbani, Guru Maharaj never ever says Sargun te Nirgun thiya, ever. They always have a directionality to them. It's always Nirgun te Sargun thiya. Read any of the panktiya that have to do with Nirgun Sargun aspects of God, there is only one direction, and that is Sargun comes from Nirgun. The Sar portion of, the Gun portion of Sargun means the three gunas, Rajo, Tamo, and Sato, and then all of the rest of the transformations you can make out of them, the 5 elements, higher ratios of Sato-gun, promote. If you have a higher ratio of Sato-gun, you can make a mind. If you have a higher portion of Rajogun, you can make energy. If you have a higher portion of Tamagun, you can make tangible objects. Right? So all these things, they come afterwards. And that's what we consider to be Sadgun. And then Swamiji talked about the 2 types of statements that appear in any type of Dharam Shastra or Adhyatmik Shastra. One of these statements is called the Avantar Vakya. Actually, the word Avantar means preceding statement. It's the statement that you dwell in to understand your final destination. And then the Mahavakya, Maha means ultimate. The ultimate statement is your destination. That's where you're trying to get to. So Avantar Vakyas or preceding statements are those statements that tell us about what Vaheguru is like. Right? Because Vaheguru is our ultimate destination. We have to know what they're like. So things like Vaheguru's Satya, Vaheguru's Chetan, Vaheguru's Anand, Vaheguru's Vyapak, Vaheguru's Nirvikar. All of these statements, they tell us about what Vaheguru is like, their Swarup. They're called preceding or Avantar statements, Avantar Vakyas. But we try to understand these statements because we have a final destination, an ultimate destination. And that is revealed by the ultimate statement or the Mahavakya. Mahavakyas are those statements that say that the Atma and Vaheguru are the same. Any statement you come across that says Atma and Vaheguru or Atma and Brahm, Atma and Ram, ya Apa and Ram are the same, that is considered a Mahavakya. Now, if you guys were here, I would ask you a question. When in this class earlier did I say a Mahavakya? And then some of you would answer, but I can't do that on here. Anyways, earlier in today's class, we read a Mahavakya. Jinni Atam Pachanya, Jinni Atam Chinya, Paramatam Soi. That is also we call it a descriptive Mahavakya. Who has known the Atma? That is Paramatma. It's known to be the same. Or, for example, Atam Ram, Ram hai Atam. Genus would be, actually, yeah. Yeah, I forgot the second part of the line. Atam Ram Ram hai Atam. This is also a Mahavakya because it's saying Atma is Ram and Ram is your Atma. Or the Mahavakya, the main Mahavakya in Guru Granth Sahib Ji is Soham. So Tatanaranjan Jyotsavai Soham. Vedana Koi Jio. Soham means that I am that. Vedana Koi Jio is just reinforcing what Soham means. So ultimately, your final destination is for you to know that you are actually Brahm. You are actually God. And all of the statements that lead up to this, or preceding statements or Avantar Vakyas, they tell us about what is this God like. So God is consciousness. Then you have to search within yourself, hey, I'm also consciousness. If I try to go as deep as I can within myself, consciousness is all that's left. Is that a clue? Perhaps my Atma is God. God is Satya, ultimate truth. Ad Sach, God Sach, Happy Sach, Anand Sach, Such. This is what we've learned about God, Satya. then search within yourself. Hey, wait a minute. There's something inside of me that always is. I can't ever deny that I don't exist, that I exist. I can't deny that I exist. Something inside of me is Satya as well. Something about me is Satya as well. Hey, wait a minute. Am I also? Is my Atma God? Sure, my body is not fully Satya because it comes and goes. My mind is not Satya because it comes and goes and it changes. But something behind this is always there. Hold on. Is my Atma Satya? Is my Atma God? So you see how the process is happening. This is what the whole process of spirituality is. Then a question that the Siddhs ask is, how do you obtain mukti? Is it with the darshan of the nirgun aspect of God, or is it with the darshan of the experience of the sargun aspect of God? And the answer, Satgur Parcha Paramapad Paya Sacha Sabda Samaya. That it's with the Guru's teachings that a nirgun experience happens, and that allows for mukti. If you experience the sargun, that will increase your pun, but it will not give you ultimate freedom. It will not give you release. Gurbani's own vachan, Satguru no sabko vekhda. Everybody sees the Satguru. Satguru no sabko vekhda. Jeta jagata sansar. Sara sansar dekhde Guru nuta. But Dittha mukta na ho gai, dittha shabad na kari vichar. So many people saw Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So many people saw Guru Angad Dev Ji. They saw Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji. They saw Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Gangu saw them. But did mukti happen? No. Because what they were actually saying didn't listen to it, didn't have nishta on what they were saying. So even today, saints in the world that are Satgurus that have recognized themselves, people see them all the time. But only those people that have determined resolve on what that saint is saying and does what the saint is saying, only that person is capable of then being enlightened. Right? Dittha mukta na hove, dittar sab na kari vichar. A Sakhi that Swamiji told here was of Dhruv Sakhi. Dhruv was a devotee of God. And Narad even gave him a method to be able to have darshan of his Isht God. Right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya was the mantra that Narad gave to Dhruv. This is how he did Nam Jap. But what happens after a while is he sees Dhruv sitting off of his throne and crying, and Narad asks, what's wrong? You got what you wanted. You had darshan of Vaheguru, your Ishtadev. You became a king. You have all the powers. Why are you sad? And Dhruv says, that's exactly why I'm sad. Because I met my Ishtadev, I met God, I met Vaheguru, and I didn't ask for the thing that was worthy of asking. I asked for kingdomship. And then Narad says, okay, now you're eligible. Now you're eligible to know what the truth is. And then Narad gives him Upadesh, and then he goes on the journey of enlightenment. Right? He takes Narad on as his guru. So, end off here is, there's a destination beyond the destination. Search for that destination. If you find rivers in your life, that's a clue that there has to be a sea. So then search for the sea, search for the ocean. And that's when you'll feel like my life was worth it. I did something in this life that was valuable. I didn't waste it, and I have no regrets upon death. This time, I'm going to do it right. Right? So I wish that for everybody here. And please forgive me for my mistakes. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.